sharp right. Oh, sharp left. No, he stopped. Oh, wait, maybe, yeah, sharp left or side left. Okay.
Medium right, listen to the call. Sammy, please listen to the call. Sharp left.
Hey everybody, welcome to my channel, The Bliss Life. Today I'm going to be continuing the series on whether Palantir's equity investments are a win or a total loss, and I don't agree with them. So far I've covered Cellularity, Party Future, Astrocast, and Black Sky. Today I'm going to be doing Lilium. So what does Lilium do? The whole point of Lilium is they really want to change the way people move between city to city. So typically more than a half hour or 1 hour drive. They want to create vertical airports all around major cities, major urban centers that allow their electric plane to land vertically, pick people up and take off. And the most noise it makes is a noise of a dishwasher. So it's pretty it's a pretty quiet plane. I mean, obviously, you know, only time will tell if that's how it'll plan out, but that's their goal. So they want to enter the transportation, the moving people business, and also moving cargo, because they are going to be able to build these planes and not have any seats, just to take cargo. The key takeaway for me from all of this was they actually have done many prototypes, and now they've gotten to the point where there's an actual plane flying in the sky. So, you know, if we look at the prototypes, you know, they first started like this: 2015, 2016, 2017, 2019, and now they're at this. So clearly there's been an evolution, and, you know, it's not a fake plane that, you know, they roll off the cliff and it glides through the sky and then they decide to take the videos. You know, there's actual real footage. So I'm gonna start with that, just so, you know, all of the non-believers can really believe in this product and see that it's real and it's not charade. Let's get going. Some nice turns there. Sharp turns, sharp right. Oh, sharp left? No, he stopped. Oh, wait, maybe, yeah, sharp left or side left. Okay.
Medium right, listen to the call. Sammy, please listen to the call. Sharp left.
I just imagine two pilots fighting over how the plane should be moved. Then it lands. Vertical landing. That's what it's all about. This is the magic. Magnifique. So, product is real. It's still under development. Obviously, it's not ready for commercial use yet. Not just yet anyways. So my biggest takeaway here is that, you know, the product's real. They've put a lot of money into it, and my biggest concern from all of the research I've done is that there's still a lot of work to be done to get to that commercial point, and there is a huge need for cash. They expect to have around 1,000 employees. You know, right now they have around 500 to 700, if I remember correctly. We'll see it in a bit, but that means a lot of cash. And if they don't have enough cash to get to the end, it's just going to be a huge science project all for nothing. And that's a real concern. You know, no one knows where the world is heading. And if interest rates start going up and money becomes harder to borrow, and shareholders start to become more picky with their decisions, Lilium might not get the funding it needs to finish its project. That's really a worst case scenario, like a doomsday scenario, because the technology here is so good that I feel like any company will try to just buy out Lilium. And I'm thinking about companies like, Bombardier, Mitsubishi, Airbus. Airbus might be a bit too big, but, Honda, all of these players that are in the, small aircraft game, they might just buy out the tech and then build it themselves. So this is my biggest takeaway from the Lilium case. But let's get into the details, and obviously you can make your own decision. So let's go through the other slide here that I thought was interesting. So the jet is real. They expect to have about 7 seats in this model here, 175 miles per hour cruise speed. Their best projected market access is the ones where there's cities that are about 155 miles between each other. So, we're not talking about cross-Atlantic travel, but more so within a region, within a, 2 major urban centers where, it would take you maybe 2.5 hours to drive, but or you could take a train, or you could pay like, I don't know, a few hundreds, and you get on this and you're there in 20 minutes. So Lilium, the ticker is LILM, is trades on NASDAQ. They went public on the 15th of September. The headquarters is in Europe, so in Munich, Germany. It was founded in 2015. So it's pretty impressive that, in 2015 started from scratch, and in 6 years, they already have a real viable prototype. The industry is aviation. The company vision, this is unofficial because they didn't state it anywhere, but I just said, they want to make electric flights a reality. How do they plan to change the world? So there was an interesting article on McKinsey with the CEO, where the CEO talks about how these flights can potentially change how people live and interact with major cities. This is what he says. He says an electric vertical takeoff and landing flight, or an eVTOL, is 5 times faster than a car. So think about how that would change things. We'll see different pricing of real estate, for example. We'll be able to live in the countryside and work in the city. What we like to say at Lilium is, this is a different radius of life. Essentially, the radius of our life expands with the speed at which we can travel, especially the speed at which we can do everyday travel. The critical points is, like I said at the beginning, they 100% need to raise more money. They had a valuation of 2.4 billion when they went public. And, personally, I find that super rich. And for a company that has no revenues and has a lot to execute and has to get approval. Now, it might be justified because they do have a plane that does work. And on top of that, the total addressable market, some say it's as high as $1 to $3 trillion by 2040. So it could be beneficial. And on top of that, they have commercial revenues that are expected to start in 2024 or 2025. We're in 2022. It's only 2 years away. 2 years away to tap into a massive market and revolutionize how people live, how people travel. Maybe it's worth the risk. And they do expect to have triple-digit revenue growth in percentage points, and eventually hit $1 billion by 2027 in terms of sales. So there's a lot of promise for this firm, and that's why people gave it a very rich valuation. But still, until they can execute and get approval, I don't feel too comfortable about this. Now, total addressable market 1.5 to 3 trillion per Morgan Stanley. And that's an estimate for 2040. So let's say today it's somewhere between 0.75 billion and $1 trillion. Now, there is no financial statements that have been released as of today, but we do have a investor presentation that they did, which is where I got this information from. They had a business update in November, and based on that business update, they have $529 million of cash as of September 30th. Nothing about assets or liabilities, nothing about revenues. So their operating income is in a loss position of 142 million year to date. So that's for 9 months. No info on net income. Palantir's investment in Lilium was a big one. It was $41 million compared to almost all of the ones it has made. Lilium stands to be the highest. So why would Palantir invest $41 million into Lilium if they didn't feel like there was a huge opportunity here? And that's what I have a hard time asking myself and trying to see their point of view. Obviously, you know, they're going to have a lot of vertical airports, you know, airports dedicated to them in the US and in Europe and eventually to other countries. But I think Palantir's pitch here is that if this is a lucrative market, if this is a lucrative industry, they're going to be dominating straight from the launch of this eVTOL plane with Lilium. And as other potential competitors get involved and they want to land in those airports, then Palantir is going to be involved in that, involved in arranging things, that data collection, that infrastructure of data behind these airports. Like Palantir is going to be involved. So I think that's where Palantir evaluated the risks and said, okay, we should totally do this. The ROI can be huge. Now, how can Palantir profit? I said, obviously through equity, if the equity grows. Right now, the markets are a no bueno. So they lost about $13 million unrealized on that investment so far. Foundry services, they said 5 years. There's a 5-year contract, but the value is unknown. But, you know, even Lilium, they do see the clear value of working with Palantir, especially given the relationship with Airbus and how they came up with Skywise with Airbus. For equity, my biggest concern is there's no clear path to profitability. And Lilium does need to raise additional capital. Like they've already disclosed that to execute its business plan. And they have zero revenue until 2024 and 2025. And this timeline, it's really assuming that there's no delays. If there's no delays, then 2024, 2025, that's 2 years, 3 years, it's gonna go like this. If they have delays or the FDA pushes back, then it could be problematic. They see each jet generating $4 million up front and $6 million a year from just the business segment. So from government, business, cargo. And they also see themselves making $15,000 a day from the commercial business. So $5 million a year. So they see this within the first year of operations. So 4, 6, 10, 15, about 15 million a year from the first year of operations. And they expect that to grow triple percentage points growth. So that's going to bring them to $1 billion by 2027. All right. So in terms of news, there is a few articles here from the Lilium investors page. This article here just talks about the milestones to certification, working with the FAA and the EASA. That's a European equivalent. Here we have a article about how Lilium holds a capital markets day and how they announce a plan for a $1 billion commercial deal and strategic alliance with a leading Brazilian airline. So this news is super interesting because Lilium announces that they have a $1 billion commercial deal with the Brazilian airline called Azul. So here they say Lilium plans to sell 220 jet aircraft for up to $1 billion for Azul to operate across the network. So this airline wants to get in this short haul game. They want to be the first movers, it seems. So Lilium plans to be in operation in multiple regions in 2025. Lilium's Brazil launch plans will be expected to provide significant incremental revenue alongside previous announced network launch plans in Europe and the US. John Rogerson, CEO of Azul, said, Azul is the largest domestic airline in Brazil. Well, okay. in terms of cities served and daily departures. As we did in the Brazilian domestic over the past 13 years, we look forward to again now with the Lilium jet, working to create a whole new market in the years to come. Because it's true, electronic vertical takeoff and landing is a new market. New market because it replaces helicopters, right? Helicopters can't operate in cities because people hate the noise. It can only be in like certain areas. But this plane, the eVTOL, can land technically anywhere because it's very quiet. Since Azul's founding 13 years ago, the Brazilian aviation market has doubled, with Azul capturing almost 60% of the growth. We know how to create and grow new markets, and once again, we see a huge market opportunity by bringing the Lilium jet to Brazil. So that is a very interesting news. The other one was the Q3 business update call, and this is where I wasn't too excited. Talked about hires, how they have a cash balance of 529. They spent 141 so far. A lot of money, 529. Operational spend of 141 for 9 months. So let's say they said 50 million for Q4. So let's say it finishes around 200 million a year. 529. They have about 2 years before things start, 2.5 years before things start getting tight. So if they don't execute their plan by 2024, if they're not generating revenues, it's going to be rough. And I think they're going to blow through that cash really fast. So air taxi maker Lilium will rely on software data from Palantir. So this is the news that was announced to reflect the Palantir partnership. 5-year enterprise subscription contract with one of its investors, Palantir. The contract was disclosed in Palantir's latest quarterly report. Also revealed that the amount of its investment in Lilium was 41 million. Filing does not discuss terms of the contract. Palantir did report, however, that its average revenue from each customer was 8.1 million. So we don't know. Based on the tendency of all of Palantir's contracts, it tends to be that if they invested 20 million, they got double 40. Here they invested 8, they got 8. Here they invested 21, they're getting 42. Well, that I should get into that. That was I didn't discuss that yet. But and then same thing with Boyvan, 30 to 39. If I had to make an educated guess, I would assume it's at least 41 million. At least have a $41 million contract. So now let's go through the team. What do we know? So here's the CEO. He's a very young CEO who started this project right out of school. And in his article with McKinsey, he does say that he was super naive getting into this project because he felt that, he could do it with X amount of dollars, but it ended up costing way more. But he says that, that naivete is what brought him here. And if he wasn't so naive, maybe he wouldn't have ever started the project. It is a interesting situation, how he's been able to come so far and make his project a reality. It says a lot about him and his ability to captivate people and convince people that this idea is worth investing in. And now they're so close. They're 2 years away from launching commercial operations. And then here, we do see a lot of different executives. The one I want to stress is Yves Yemzi. He was the Senior Vice President of Procurement Supply and VP Program of Quality for an airline, the A350. So he's very competent individual. He definitely has an engineering background and he knows how to run a business. He's going to be a key lead on getting the Lilium jet certified with the European agency and the FAA. And then we have here Alistair McIntosh. He's the Chief Technology Officer. And, he's been working on these A350 engines, and even he was a managing director at Rolls-Royce Germany. So it's very competent people here. This is what we looked at before. And, a quick news was that as of November 2021, it was official that they entered the preliminary design review. So that's very exciting. This is where they actually plan to have their network. So this was the Florida network. This is the first one that they want to do. And they expect to have 125 jets. And they estimate that they'll have 600 million revenues. And this is the map that they have for Germany, where they say it has a potential opportunity of $900 million. And they have about 190 jets that they want to deploy here. And these are the areas where they see that they think they can get involved in. They see themselves in Canada, the US, this is Brazil, and here, you know, Asia with Tencent, or with China with Tencent, and I think it includes Taiwan. So Taiwan, it includes Taiwan. Here they have Australia. So you know, you have a lot of European countries or Scandinavian countries. So you know, they see a big opportunity here. Now, the funds raised from going public is largely to pay for salaries and not any of the airport infrastructure or the planes. So it is guaranteed that they're gonna have to raise money again. So this transaction, the transaction to go public, and the funds that they raised, about 529 million. So this transaction is intended to fund to the launch of commercial operations. Okay, it's not just me, it's kind of weird, it's weirdly worded. But here they want to finalize the German factory for serial production, launch serial production aircraft, complete type certification process, and launch global revenue business. So here you see talent and infrastructure, $500 million. Go to market, 100. Production and engineering capex, 200 million. So clearly they need a lot of money. There's a lot of runway here to spend, about 800 million. And based on their financials, they have 529. So they need another 300 million. So, having considered all of this, how do I feel about Lilium? If we go back to, you know, the parameters that I like to consider to decide if, you know, an investment is a win or a loss, Faraday Futures right here. Is it innovative, good for the world? Absolutely. It is reducing. It's going to be taking cars off the road. It's going to be promoting, you know, sustainable transportation because it's a fully electric plane. I think it is a good opportunity here. It's definitely good for the world. Is it profitable today? Absolutely not. Do they need more capital? Absolutely yes. So this is a red, you know, it's very risky. Risk versus reward. Is it worth investing in? Honestly, I like to think that the risk versus reward, like, it's nice to say that the TAM is $1 trillion, but all of this is viciously fought over. You know, it's vicious. The competition is ferocious, and if you're not competitive, if you're not a price leader, if you don't penetrate the market fast enough, if you can't convince people to use your product fast enough, you know, there's a lot of risks involved. And given the fact that they, you know, they're still early in the AV certification process, they need more cash, and, you know, the business model hasn't been proven yet. I really leaning towards a red, yellow. So because of that, I think this investment is a loss. There could be so many other competitors working on the same thing, but they're not going public with it, and it's a secret project that is underground. That's how competition works. They don't want to let other people know what they're up to. They keep it, they make everyone sign NDAs, and it's being developed secretly. So the fact that Lilium had to go public with this electric plane, and it looks very innovative, it's very well possible that there's a lot of big other players doing the same thing. So because of that, I conclude that this investment is a loss, and we'll see where it goes. So that's it for me. That's it for me on Lilium. So if you like what you see, you know, if you're curious to see, you know, how are these investments doing? What are their investments? I'd like to learn more. Then absolutely hit the subscribe button. I appreciate it so much when you leave your comments and your likes. So thank you for doing that. And I will see you on the next one.